Good morning, Your Honor. Godfrey Dillard on behalf of Ms. Bothuell.
Good morning, and good morning, Ms. Bothuell.
Good morning.
Your Honor, Denise Foster on behalf of Mr. Bothuell, 52126.
Okay, good morning. Okay, we are ready to proceed. Mr. Haddad, you were conducting the cross-examination of Detective Pesmar.
I'm going to try to avoid some objections here and start with the most relevant day, all right? The 25th, the day Charlie was found. What was going on when you arrived that day at the house?
1344 Nicolette.
Yes, sir, at the condo.
When I arrived, there was multiple news organizations there. There was a large crowd out in front. There was multiple officers about inside and outside that had been there to execute the search warrant. And I had previously been informed of something, and I went inside to check.
Okay. And who was there when you went inside to check?
Everyone in totality.
That you recall?
The FBI ERT team, multiple officers from BCTF and BGTF. I believe other Detroit police personnel. The victim, Charlie Bothuell, was there.
Okay. So Charlie Bothuell the fifth was there.
Correct.
Was the prosecutor, Ms. Goldfarb, there?
I didn't see her immediately when I arrived, but I do know that she was there eventually.
Okay. So she wasn't there sitting next to Charlie asking him questions and talking to him, right?
I wasn't inside to see anything. I was outside making notifications to my supervision and arranging other things that need to be taken in the next step of the investigation.
Okay. And in the course of your investigation as the OIC, did you ever learn that she sat next to him and asked him questions?
No.
Okay. So when he said that, was he lying if he said that?
Your Honor, I would object to that. That calls for...
It's impeachment, Your Honor.
It calls...
You're asking, would he be lying?
I'm sorry, I'll rephrase.
Go ahead.
He stated to the court that Ms. Goldfarb sat next to him and asked him questions and talked to him. Was he lying?
Your Honor, objection. Again, it's not a proper question. It would call for speculation if this officer doesn't have information on that.
He testified he wasn't inside the home.
Well,
And
okay.
He did not see what was going on the inside. He was outside making notifications. Your
Okay.
objection is sustained. Your next question.
Okay. Just to be clear, you never learned of that happening, what we just talked about,
Your Honor,
correct?
asked and answered.
Well, if he didn't ask that specific question, answer that specific question and then move on.
Yep.
What was the question?
You never learned of that happening, Mrs. Goldfarb sitting next to Charlie that day, asking him questions and speaking to him during your investigation.
That course of events was never described as happening ever to me.
Okay, thank you.
Moving on.
Moving on. Okay, so we're going to go backwards in time now. We're going to go to tracking dogs. On direct, you remember that you testified that on 2 occasions tracking dogs were brought to the Bothell condo. They were in the vicinity.
What kind of dogs?
Trailing dogs, tracking dogs.
No.
Okay, on direct exam, you said that there was 2 occasions, there was 2 searches with dogs, correct?
2 searches where?
Of the Bothell residence, or outside the Bothell residence.
There was multiple searches done with multiple dogs in multiple locations.
Okay, okay, how many dates were the dogs there?
Objection where?
Like I just said, at the Bothell residence for searches,
1344 Nicolette Place?
1344 Nicolette.
Okay. And when you say dogs, to which dogs are you referring to?
I'm referring to canines used by police officers to search. Not somebody walking their dog, but specifically canines used to search.
There was 1 bloodhound brought out on the 18th, and then there were 2 cadaver dogs brought out by an NGO. The bloodhound and the cadaver dog, 2 cadaver dogs were brought out by the NGO, and then 1 cadaver dog was utilized by Michigan State Police personnel.
Okay, so I just want to get specific on that for a second, okay? On the 18th, there was cadaver dogs and there was a trailing dog. Then on the 19th, I want to start with the 19th, okay? Because this is something that you testified on direct that was not clear in the police report. So what I want to ask you is, you said there was a trailing dog there, but he was not utilized whatsoever on the 19th, correct?
Your Honor, I'd object that mischaracterizes the testimony. First of all, I'm not sure what a trailing dog is.
He can say if it mischaracterizes his testimony.
Well, that was never any word used by this officer.
It wasn't. Ask your question, counsel.
Okay. On the 19th, you testified on direct, last time we were here, that there was a tracking dog brought, but it was never utilized. Do you remember that?
At what time on the 19th?
Well, on the 19th, when the Michigan State Police brought, like including Trooper Johnson, brought dogs to search the residence.
Oh, yes, I believe he had a tracking dog with him.
Okay. You believe he had a tracking dog with him. Was it used?
I do not believe so, no.
Okay. When you say I don't believe so, what does that mean? Are you not sure?
I don't believe the tracking dog was brought out of the vehicle at all, so I don't believe it was utilized.
So but you're not 100% sure of that.
Do you want me to testify to what the canine officer did or did not do?
No, I'm just asking you. Are you 100% sure that it wasn't utilized?
I do not believe it was utilized.
Okay. Were you in charge of the investigation at that time?
No.
Okay. Who was in charge?
Officer Benny?
Okay. Because you became in charge later on that night, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So Officer Binion had been the officer in charge from the 14th when he went missing to the 19th, technically?
Correct.
Till the evening of the 19th?
To the evening of the 19th.
Okay. So, was it Officer Binion's decision not to because you testified that a tracking dog was never brought into the residence, correct?
Correct.
Okay, was it Officer Binion's decision not to do that, or somebody else?
Your Honor, I'd object that calls for hearsay and speculation.
I'm just asking if he knows who made the decision.
Then ask the question if he knows who made the decision.
Do you know who made the decision not to bring the tracking dog into the house?
No, I don't. I have a belief, but I don't know who specifically made the decision.
Okay, who do you believe made the decision?
I believe it was Lieutenant Cole at this, Lieutenant Cole was the person that I advised, and he was the person I was relaying everything to and following through.
Okay, sorry, Lieutenant Cole. You testified last time Lieutenant Cole was your superior throughout this case, correct?
Correct.
And there was a decision not to use the tracking dog in the house on the 19th. Now,
No, I don't believe a decision was made on whether or not to use it.
well, it was there, right?
I believe it was just the dogs are all brought all at the same time. Whether or not a decision had been made or chosen to use it or not utilize it, I am not aware of.
I understand, but it was not utilized and it was there.
Correct.
Okay. Didn't that indicate to you that it had already been ruled out that Charlie was inside the condo?
Your Honor, I would object as to what the relevance of what that may or may not have indicated.
The relevance is they're saying he was down there the whole 11 days. I'm asking him if it indicated to him that decision, the not using the dog, if that indicated to him.
He can testify as to whether or not that was an indication.
No.
So, you want us to believe that you guys had a tracking dog at your disposal, but you did not use him, you just kept searching the house with humans and cadaver dogs, and that's not because it was ruled out that the child that could have been tracked was in the house.
Your Honor, I'd object. First of all, the question is argumentative. Second of all, that's not what the testimony on direct or on the initial cross by Attorney Dill.
Sorry, Your Honor, I'll rephrase. Okay, you just answered my question, no. It did not indicate to you that Charlie wasn't in the condo. Right?
Can you repeat the question?
Strike that. They continue to search the house. People continue to search the house that day, correct? Officers.
What do you mean by search? And on what day?
The same day, the 19th.
In the morning or in the afternoon? This is
When the-
almost 24-hour operation.
Okay. When Trooper Johnson was there with the dogs, what
Okay.
time of day was that?
It was in the early AM.
Okay. That's what I'm talking about, that specific time.
Okay.
Okay. Officers brought cadaver dogs into the house and searched the house that morning, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Obviously, officers were also in there searching the house with the dogs. They don't let the dogs in by themselves, correct?
Officers do not search concurrently or prior to or if a dog is expected to search at the same time, as it might ruin or taint what indicators the dog might indicate on. So
Okay.
if the dog is going to search something, it's left intact and other people don't get involved at the same time. Because if the dog is searching concurrently and alongside of a human, it might confuse the dog.
Okay. But there's police officers that are handlers of the dogs that were with them when they searched the home that morning, correct?
Yes, and the dog is not allowed to run freely.
Right. And there's after the cadaver dogs were done, the search continued. Officers continued to search the home. Isn't that true?
No.
Okay. So you're is it your contention? This is my question. Is it your contention that Charlie still might have been in the house that day?
Yes.
Okay. And you could have used a tracking dog was there to double check that, but nobody used it.
A tracking dog inside the home?
No, on the
No, a tracking dog is not used inside the home.
right. Is that odd to you? Was that odd to you?
No.
If he still, you just said he still could have been in the house. There was a tracking dog there. Nobody brought the tracking dog into the house. That's normal. That's normal procedure. That wasn't weird to you whatsoever as a detective.
No, we were working based off the information we had on hand that he had run out of the home. And we were working on what we were told.
Well, would cadaver dogs inside the house help you find him running out of the home?
We didn't rule out information.
Okay, and the tracking dog would have ruled out information too, right?
Not necessarily.
How would it not rule out whether he was in the home?
Because if the scene is tainted, if the home is where he is occupied, the scent of his person would be scattered all throughout. So a tracking dog, my belief, training, and experience, but I'm not a canine handler, so I can't fully attest to this. But if his scent is everywhere already because that's his home, I personally don't think a dog would be able to tell like a strength of his scent more or less. But I am not an expert in a canine tracking dog, and we were still working off the belief that he had run away.
Okay, I didn't want to cut you off, but this is just your belief. You just said you're not an expert. I just want to make that clear.
Your Honor, I would object as to how that question is relevant.
Well, he's testifying
and
to
it's
something
becoming
that...
argumentative. He answered the question asked at hand.
He answered the question, and
All right.
your last statement wasn't a question, but you were testifying.
Okay.
I'm going to strike that from the record. You may continue with your next question.
Thank you, Your Honor. Okay. Later that same day, on the 19th, he's been missing for 6 days now, right? The 14th, the 15th, 16th, 17th, 18th, 19th. That's 6 days, right? Okay. Later that day on the 19th, there was a search by humans of the Detroit Police Department, the FBI Evidence Recovery Team, and other officers for trace evidence, correct?
No.
Okay. Did the FBI Evidence Recovery Team and members of the Detroit Police Department search for trace evidence later that day?
Members of the FBI ERT are the members that conducted the search and collection of evidence.
Okay. Now, when we say trace evidence, they're looking for things like hair follicles, blood droplets, things like that, right?
Yes.
Okay. So the FBI has brought in a team of agents They're searching for very tiny things throughout the condo, correct?
That would be reasonable to assume.
Okay. And there was no room or area of the condo that was off limits to them in this search, was there?
No.
Okay. So these agents are crawling on their hands and knees to find evidence and clues, correct?
Your Honor, I would object that calls for speculation.
Well,
It will cause them to speculate.
okay. Well, typically, can I ask, typically in your experience, looking for hair follicles and blood droplets, are you standing the whole time, or would people be crawling around on the ground as well?
Objection, how is it relevant, Your Honor?
It sets the scene.
Answer the question.
From what I would do or what the ERT members would do?
What the ERT members would do.
Go ahead.
I can't testify to what means, methods, or techniques the ERT members used and employed while they searched the home, because I was not present to watch them.
Okay, but you'd agree, as a police officer, you can't find a hair follicle or droplet on the ground without leaning over and searching it, right?
It depends on where it is.
Okay. And these FBI agents, they're using sophisticated techniques, right? They're trained to do this?
Your Honor, objection calls for speculation.
He has not testified he works for the FBI.
Okay.
Next question.
You do actually work with the DPD for the with the FBI for the DPD, don't you?
I am assigned out to a task force that has FBI members on it.
Okay. So you train with FBI agents sometimes? You've trained with FBI agents?
Not in evidence recovery.
That wasn't my question. I'm just asking, have you trained with FBI agents?
Your Honor, asked and answered.
No, he didn't.
He didn't answer that specific question. Have you trained with FBI agents?
Yes.
And you've worked with them on investigating other cases, right?
Yes.
Okay. Are the FBI are FBI searches normally thorough searches?
Objection calls for speculation.
It does the same. The next question.
Okay. Let's go back to this trace evidence, okay? The ERT team consisted of about 10 people, correct?
I would have to look at the list of ERT members to give you an exact number.
What do you recall? I can refresh your memory, but what do you recall?
Exactly, I don't know. It might have been about 10 approximately, but I am not sure specifically without refreshing my memory.
Okay. And they're the only ones in the house at this time, you're saying?
During the time of the search, yes.
Okay. And they're literally looking for needles in haystacks, so to speak, right?
No, that was, needles in a haystack was not part of the search warrant.
Okay. All right, well, on the 19th, while searching for hair follicles and blood droplets, no one found Charlie in the condo, right?
Correct.
Okay. At the end of the investigation, when you reviewed all that, did you find that odd as a detective?
Yes.
Why did you find that odd?
Because, you know, if it calls into question if he was there, did they search in all the locations, including that back corner?
So it called into question two things: whether he was there, and whether they searched the whole house.
I questioned whether or not they had conducted the search completely and that every place blood and hair follicles could have been.
All right, let's move on. Let's go back to the first day that dogs were brought into search, which is the day before, on the 18th. Okay?
Okay.
All right. You remember this is day 5 that he was missing, and Michigan Search and Rescue, which is a dog team, was brought in, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. This time we actually have a report that a tracking dog was brought in. Are you familiar with that?
Yes.
Okay. So a tracking dog was actually used that day?
Correct.
Okay. And you said you're familiar with the report, so isn't it true that a scent article was obtained from the elliptical machine for that of Charlie, the 5th, for that tracking dog?
I believe it happened, yes.
And then that scent article with his scent on it was given to the tracking dog near the front door of the condo, right?
I wasn't present for the bloodhound canine tracking dog to conduct the search, so I can't really testify to what took place specifically.
Okay.
Or how it was conducted.
But you do know that the dog picked up a scent and then ran away from the front door, right?
It did begin a track.
Okay. And it tracked him down the street and up the block, right?
You want me to testify to what another person did?
No, I want you to testify. I mean, there's a GPS connected to this dog, correct?
I don't know.
Well, there's a map in the police reports of exactly where the dog went, right?
Yes.
You're familiar with that
That's
map?
what was reported.
Okay. And what I'm asking you, if you said you're familiar with the map, it's in the police report. Where did the dog? So the dog tracked him going down the street, right?
Which street?
Why don't we look at the map real quick? I have it right here. This way we're not wasting time and...
Objection calls for hearsay, and I don't know, it calls for speculation,
Hearsay.
and I don't know how it's relevant to this witness's testimony.
Counselor, you're gonna have to lay a foundation because you're asking him to testify, and I have no idea how he's going to testify as to where this dog tracked Charlie.
Okay.
And so you need to clarify that on the record to this witness.
Okay. Part of your job is to track down all leads in this case, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And you're familiar with a map created by the tracking dog. That was a lead in this case, right?
It was a work product, yes.
Okay. And you looked at the map and then you did or you decided to do something with that information, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And according to the map, it says...
Your Honor, I would object, that calls for hearsay.
He has personal knowledge.
You haven't established that he has personal knowledge.
Well, he's seen the map.
He saw it.
Okay.
If you show it to me, I've seen it.
Okay.
Doesn't mean I get to testify about what happened with this dog and where this dog tracked Charlie.
Okay. Understood. When you looked at the map, did you understand what it was telling you as a lead?
Yes.
And there's information on it, correct?
Yes.
And then you use that information to follow up during your investigation. Did you not?
That information was used to make a determination on what to do with the investigation, or where to go with the investigation.
Okay. So you had to analyze the map and the information on it, and then you made that decision that you just said you made.
Yes.
Okay. So I'm just trying to get to, on the map, it says that he went...
Objection, hearsay.
Well, he hasn't asked the question yet. Let
But,
me hear the
but
question.
he's gonna, but
No,
by
I'm not going
asking
to
the
say... How does she
question-
know what I'm going to
Stop.
say?
Ask the question.
Okay. According to the tracking dog map, the scent went straight out the front door at first, correct?
Your Honor, objection, hearsay. He's asking him to testify to information that is not his information to testify to. He can't testify to it. It's hearsay.
Your Honor, it's not for the truth of the matter asserted. It's for what he did, the effect on the listener, what he did to follow up with that information.
I'll allow it for that limited purpose, not for the truth of the matter asserted. Go ahead, answer the question.
Thank you, Your Honor. So the tracking dog tracked the scent straight out the front door at first, right?
I would have to take a look at the map to refresh my recollection.
Can I approach, Your Honor?
What it is.
So the scent starts off straight out the front door, correct?
Your Honor, I'd object to straight out the front door. There's been no testimony the dog was inside the home.
I'm asking him a question.
Well, you need to ask that question differently.
Where did the dog...
And Counsel, you're asking this line of question not for the truth of the matter asserted, but to have the effect on the listener.
I'll get to
So
that.
ask the correct question to find out what was the effect on the listener. Because otherwise, we're going to be 10, 15 minutes on something
Okay.
that I'm not taking as true. I'm trying to get to the effect on the listener.
Okay, so the scent went to different places around the neighborhood, right?
Correct.
Okay. And you then decided whether or not to follow up on each of the places that the scent was tracked.
The weight of this was used in the totality of the investigation.
Okay. When you received this information, for instance, there was a scent tracked on Antietam Avenue. Did you follow up on that?
The officer at the scene
Ever?
did not ever.
Yeah.
I don't believe that there was any surveillance in that area, and no information from that area was gleaned from any canvas.
Okay. There was a scent. The trail also took you through Rivard Street. Did you follow up on that?
Did I personally, or was it followed up during the canvas? Because multiple officers were dispersed in the canvas to follow up in these areas.
Well, we're trying to make this quick and summarize, so I'm just going to ask you about the whole investigation. As the OIC, was that lead followed up on the scent trailed up and down Rivard Street on the map?
Yes, there was an officer with the tracking dog information that they could glean during that track.
Okay, what officer was with the tracking dog?
I believe it was Officer Binion.
Okay. Is Officer Binion the handler of that tracking dog?
No.
Okay. So there's a... Do you know who was with who was handling the tracking dog?
I'd have to look at the report.
Okay. It wasn't an officer though, right?
No.
Okay. The trail took you past Lafayette Place and Street. Did you follow up on that?
This entire area was included with the canvases, so yes.
After this?
When it was spread out, other officers went out when they did the canvas.
There's more than one canvas, so are you talking about the canvases that happened after this search?
This
Just wanna
area
be
was
clear.
included in the canvas.
Which canvas?
I believe the one on the 21st, I believe it was.
Okay, and then it takes you up around close to Maple Street. Was that followed up on?
Your Honor, at this point, I think the officer has
I'm done.
testified
That's it.
to what he did, which was the purpose of asking these questions, and now we're just getting into hearsay.
You did. So, counsel, are you ready to move on? I'm ready for you to move on.
I'm ready, Your
Your
Honor.
objection is sustained. Move on.
Okay. Okay, moving on. On direct, you testified that you searched Charlie's biological mother's home. Africa Shippings is her name, right?
No.
Okay. Some officers searched Africa Shipping's home is what you said on direct, right?
Yes.
Okay. You were asked on direct, why was that a place of interest? And I just want to be clear, you said it could have been a place that he was secreted to or hidden, right?
A place you could have gone to, or yes, secreted or hidden, yes.
Okay. Secreted, sorry. When was that search?
Specifically, I don't know. I believe it's the 21st.
You believe it was the 21st. Do you not know specifically because there's no report about that search?
No, I know I did talk to the officers that were at the house, and I reminded them that while they were there and speaking with the family, to request permission to check the home for Charlie in there.
Okay. But there was no report done about this search, right?
I can't attest to what somebody did or did not write when they searched the house while they were there.
Okay. That's true. The reports that you submitted to the prosecutor in this case, of all those reports that you said you reviewed last time we were here, there is no report about this search of Africa Shipping's house.
Objection. How is any of this relevant, Your Honor?
Because he says he's not sure. I want to make sure that that's...
Answer whether or not there was a report about the searching of Africa Shipping.
I don't believe so, no.
Okay.
Okay, next question.
All right.
One moment, Judge. Trying to
One
clear.
moment.
The word believe is to accept as true. The word finds in the assume as own protection. Imagine, suspect, but not for real. Understand? That's why he keeps saying it. I believe. What's that? Alright, if you want to go ahead.
Okay. Just real quick. You keep saying the word I believe, okay? Now, I believe means that you're...
No, I kind of object to what the definition and meaning of I believe is, how that's relevant. Your Honor can put the weight into his words and his testimony.
Where are we going with
Well,
I believe, I can tell you where I would, but it wouldn't be
Well, the offer of proof is just that the officer in charge is not sure about the testimony and about the investigation, and should be the one that's most sure about the investigation.
Judge, as an offer of proof, he keeps using the word "I believe." I believe can mean two things: either
Well, wait a
accept
minute,
as true.
Hold on.
Yes,
Now, I did not allow the people, when
Okay.
I'm not questioning.
witness is questioning, to interject in that way. Mr. Haddad has started the examination or the cross-examination of this witness.
You're doing great,
So
Laura.
the objection is that, how is it what he believes, whether or not it's relevant?
There's two different
Mr.
definitions.
Haddad, know that I'm listening to the
Okay.
testimony. I will
I
give
got
the
it.
appropriate weight to his testimony as the officer in charge when he says, I believe.
Okay.
And certainly, Ms.
There's-
This escaped me, I'm sorry.
Ms. Kiani.
On behalf of the people, will have the opportunity to redirect their witness, and if they want to clarify something about I believe, allow them to do so, but I'm giving it the appropriate way.
Okay, then I have, thank you, Your Honor. I have one question about I believe, okay? In the definition of I believe, we're creating a record that somebody else is going to read. There's two definitions for I believe. Either accept something as true.
Mr. Haddad, you are not about to bum rush my record and read in the definition of what I believe. You are not testifying. You may ask your next question to this witness. I've already indicated I'm sustaining the objection, and you may move on.
Okay, sorry, Your Honor. Thank you. Okay, let's go back. So there was no search warrant. They're simply allowed to search the house, right? His biological mother, Africa Shippings, were at that search right now. They were just allowed to search the house without a warrant, right?
Yes.
Okay. Much like the police were allowed to search Mr. Bothuell's residence without a warrant too, correct?
On what day?
The first several days of the investigation.
I was not present for the first couple of days of the investigation, so I can't attest to what he said or did with the other officers there.
Okay. The date, well, did you come to learn that there was searches on the first few days, right? During the days that you were not the OIC, the first 4 days, there was some searches, right?
That's what was reported, yes.
Okay. There was no search warrants at the time, right?
No.
Okay. So, I mean, we're going circular here, but the officers didn't break in. They must have gotten permission, right?
Your Honor, objection calls for speculation.
Did you learn that they broke in? I'll strike it. Did you learn that they broke into the house
And Your
to
Honor,
search?
that's argumentative. Now, officers
How's that
breaking
ar-
into a home, that
He's-
question is
He's not
argumentative.
answering my question.
It is argumentative. Go on to your next question, please.
Okay. Okay. You testified that you talked to the officers who searched Africa Shipping's home. And you gave them direction, right?
Yes.
Okay. Who exactly was involved in that search that day of her home?
The exact specific search, I wasn't there, so I don't know who exactly and specifically conducted the search.
Okay. Is there any way for you to refresh your memory about that?
I could look at the statements that were taken on certain days from members of the family, but I would presume that those were some people that were just present, but whether or not they conducted the search while they were there, or if there's other members that were there and assisted, I could not testify to.
Okay, so you right now, out of your knowledge, you don't know who was there, exactly.
Correct.
Okay. Do you know how long the search took place?
No.
Do you know if they searched for trace evidence that day?
No.
Do you know if they simply did a sweep of the home?
Again, I wasn't there, so I would not be able to testify to what kind of search they conducted.
Okay, you wouldn't be able to testify to what kind of search. So you couldn't say whether you couldn't say at any point in your investigation whether they did an exhaustive search of Africa Shipping's home?
Your Honor, I'd object. I don't understand how this line of questioning is relevant when the officer's already indicated he cannot say what they did and didn't do.
That's my next question. I'll get there. Just give me a little bit of...
No, but we're wasting a lot of time.
I
We
mean,
need to start wrapping up for this cross-examination of this witness.
okay, I'm moving as fast as I can, Your Honor, but I'll go faster.
Yes.
Okay.
Your objection is sustained. Your next question.
Okay. At any point in your investigation, you said today you don't know what kind of search it was. Did you know at any point in your investigation? Did you forget? I'll strike the question. Have you forgotten this information, or you just don't know it?
Can you rephrase the question?
Okay. Let's just get directly to the point. In virtually all of your sworn warrant affidavits for warrants in this case, and there were several, you specifically, quote, use the words, there was an exhaustive search of Africa Shipping's home. Right? Do you remember that?
I'd have to refresh my memory from the warrant,
Okay.
from the affidavit.
Counsel, let me have you all approach quickly, please.
That's impeachment, and that's relevant to where Charlie might have been.
It's a probable cause. It's preliminary examination. It's preliminary examination.
For a search.
Oh, gee, everybody just had, hold on, I am not about to do romper room. I'm not doing it this morning, because we are finishing this case today. Even if I had to deny you all treat snacks and a break, we're finishing today. So I'm not doing it. Everybody has had 7 days, okay? And today is it. All right, thank you. I need you to finish up the examination. Mr. Dodd, you may continue with the cross-examination of the witness.
Thank you, Your Honor.
You all are talking on my record.
lost my place. So 1 second, I'm sorry.
You were at Africa Shipping's house, and if you lost that place, I'm glad, because now we're getting ready to move to another place. Your
Okay.
next question.
Got it. So after that one search, you ruled out Africa Shipping's house as a place that Charlie could be, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And that was one of the goals of that search, right? Before I move on?
Yes.
Okay. Now, you had the same, police department had the same goal when they did searches, consent searches of Mr. Bothuell's house, correct?
Yes.
To rule out whether he was there. Right?
Was that a question?
Yes, sorry.
Are you talking about the initial when the officers first responded, as opposed to what the officers were conducting when they were at Ms. Shipping's house?
I'm talking about one of the consent searches of the home in the first several days of when he was missing. The point was to rule out whether he was there. You weren't in there. That was one of the reasons. That was one of the purposes of the search.
Yes.
Okay. In fact, for Mr. Bothuell's home, it was even more important to rule that out because Charlie actually lived there, right?
That would be in the mindset of the people conducting the search at the time.
Okay. Fair enough. But there were several searches over 11 days. And you're saying until that 11th day, you never ruled out whether he was in the home?
That was a diminishing possibility as time went on.
It was very diminishing, right? As the days rolled on? Okay. All right, moving on. Oh, well, real quick. Do you know how many... Well, no, strike that. We'll move on. Both defendants wrote statements to police, correct?
Yes.
I believe you testified that on the day that they wrote the statements, earlier that day there was some consent searching of the home, correct?
Yes.
And then when Mr. Bothuell was... So Mr. Bothuell was taken from the residence to the police department to write a statement, right?
Objection, that mischaracterizes the testimony that's come in about how Mr. Bothuell got to the police station.
I'm asking him, how did he...
If he knows. Go ahead and answer the question.
He was not taken by any police officer.
Okay. Did he followed a police officer there?
I don't know how he got there, or who went first and who went second.
Okay. Was it his idea to do it or not?
It was requested.
Okay. It was requested during a search, correct?
I don't know exactly what time during the course of the evening the request had been posed to him.
Okay. Eventually he gave you the keys to his residence, right?
Yes.
That night.
Yes, that night, that morning.
They took their time writing these statements. Specifically, Mr. Bothuell took over 3 hours to write a 14-page statement, right? Isn't that true?
I believe so.
So he didn't appear to be rushing, did he?
Your Honor, objection, that calls for speculation, and there's no foundation that he would know that answer.
It's not even but your next question.
Okay. If he wanted to, he could have filled out the questionnaire really quickly and left, right?
Your Honor, how is that relevant?
It's not.
To go back home. I'm just asking.
Sustain your next question. We're gonna ask relevant questions.
Okay. In the questionnaire attached to the statement, it asks if you were going to conduct this investigation, how would you do it? Does it not ask that question?
Yes.
Okay. And without saying what they are, Mr. Bothuell listed 24 things that he said that he would want you to do, right?
Those were things that he listed. There were things that he listed, yes.
Okay. And these suggestions were helpful to your investigation, correct?
This statement in its entirety is pertinent to the investigation.
Okay, I mean specifically, without saying what they are, his answers to what would you do, excuse me, if you were going to conduct this investigation, how would you do it? That was helpful to your investigation, was it not? His answers. Some of his answers.
The answers provided insight that in totality gave assistance to the investigation.
Okay. Well, you actually did a lot of the stuff that he listed, did you not?
I might have.
Okay. All right. Let's move on. Well, would you characterize his statement as cooperative?
I didn't interview him, nor did I conduct any taking of the statement, so I would not have any personal knowledge of his interaction in the giving of the statement or the interview.
Okay, so you... Your reading of the statement, did it seem like a cooperative statement?
Objection, how is it relevant?
It's not. Sustain your next question.
Okay. Let's move on. You remember that you testified on direct that you spoke to Mr. Bothuell about the fires in the building. Remember that? You were asked about that?
I believe it had been a topic of discussion during the course of the investigation.
Okay, and you stated on direct that he specifically maintained that his son had nothing to do with the fires, right?
When I initially spoke with him, yes.
Okay. And well, you made it sound on direct like that's what he maintained the whole time. So did he maintain that the whole time or no?
With me, I believe he did.
So,
I have an objection to any this testimony that relates to Ms. Bothuell. Continuing objection.
So noted for the record.
okay, did he ever change that story during the 11 days his son was missing?
I don't recall.
Well, when you testified, you were sure on direct that he did not, that he maintained that the whole time. That's what I recall your testimony to be.
And my objection, that mischaracterizes the evidence.
It does. Your next question.
Okay, so on June 18th, 4 days into the investigation, isn't it true that Mr. Bothuell wrote in the statement that we were just talking about that his son tried to burn the house down twice?
Could I read his statement?
Sure. Do you refresh your memory?
Yes.
So he stated in writing to the police that his son did try to burn the house down twice.
Your Honor, I'd object. That's hearsay. He's,
It's the defendant's statement.
and it's admissible by a party opponent. It's not admissible by the defendant himself.
Okay, I'll rephrase the question. I'll strike the question and rephrase it.
And just so you know, those statements were admitted, is that correct?
I believe so.
I have read every single page
Alright.
of all of that wonderful handwriting, a whole statement. Thank you.
So, what you said on direct was false and misleading, wasn't it?
Your Honor, object. That question is argumentative.
Was it true or not?
Counsel, it is argumentative. I'm able to draw the conclusion.
Okay. I will move on.
Told you, I read all of those statements.
Moving on to a totally another topic. Thank you, Your Honor. Okay, on the 19th, 6 days into this 12-day search, and I say 12 because I'm counting the 14th, so you get the 14th to the 25th, okay? You became the officer in charge, and part of your job was to look at the eyewitness canvas statements and decide how to follow up on them, right?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, was that was an important part of the investigation, right?
It was a part of the investigation.
Okay. As part of your job in reviewing those eyewitness canvas statements, there was 6 people who gave statements to police that they saw Charlie out and about during the time he was missing, right?
I believe so. I'd have to look at all the canvas statements.
Okay. You've been in. He doesn't need to see that. I'm moving on. I mean, I know the answer is 6, but I don't know why she's trying to give my witness something. You've been involved in several missing child cases, you said, right?
Yes.
Okay. And typically in a missing child case, you do search the residence exhaustively, right?
Yes.
And it's not uncommon to find the child in the house, right?
Each missing child circumstance is based on its own merits.
My question is it uncommon to find the child in the house during a missing child case?
It happens from time to time, yes.
Okay. And it's not surprising when that happens, right?
It is.
Okay. But when it happens, they could be hiding in a closet or under a blanket. It happens, right?
Yes, in various states of health and viability.
Okay. So, is it your contention to the court in this high-profile missing child case you did not order an exhaustive search of the child's home until day 12?
Your Honor, I would object. First of all, the question is argumentative.
It is. High profile, ask a relevant question to this witness.
Is it your contention that you did not order an exhaustive search of Charlie V's home until day 12 of him being missing?
When I was first brought out, not as the OIC, I had asked if every location where Charlie's body or body parts could be at were looked and searched for. I was told it already had been done.
Okay. So you ruled that out right when you became the OIC?
Yes.
That's not, but earlier you said you hadn't fully ruled that out.
Pardon?
Okay. It was, who did you speak to about that?
The officers that were initially assisting.
And based on that conversation, you ruled out that Charlie was in the house, right? Is what you're saying?
Based on what they told me and how they conducted their search, I determined or felt that they had done a thorough search of the home.
Okay.
And that ordering a second thorough search was not, I felt that it was not necessary to do the same search again.
Okay. So that's day 6. Now, there was, now, all right, which officers did you speak to when you made that determination?
I initially spoke with Lieutenant Cole, Sergeant Harris, and Officer McAllister was there, I believe, as well.
Which one told you they did that a thorough search was done in the home?
I don't remember specifically.
Okay. Did you put it in a report?
No.
Your Honor,
So, did you follow routine operating procedure here in a missing child case?
Pardon?
Did you follow routine operating procedure here for a missing child case?
What is this routine?
Whatever the normal protocol would be in a missing child case, such as exhaustively searching the home.
It had been informed to me that a search of the home had been conducted. I had been informed that it was thorough. So I believed that the next step of the investigation was to move on and do a canvass of the area.
Okay, but on the 19th it became your responsibility for what was searched and where everything was searched, right?
Yes.
Okay. You said on direct that when you got involved in this case, you were, when you became the OIC, you were concerned that about Charlie V's needs and health, right?
Yes.
Okay. Yet you didn't think twice to double check after you became the OIC whether he was hidden in the house, starving, injured, something like that?
Your Honor, objection. First of all, the question is argumentative. Second of all, it's asked and answered multiple times. We're talking in circles at this point about the searches and what he did and why he did it.
Counsel.
I'll move on.
Counsel, that question has been answered a number of times. Can we please move on and cover some relevant territory so we can complete this examination?
I'm down to my last two questions, Your
Oh,
Honor.
wonderful.
I have two, might be a couple follow-ups, but last two questions. Did you personally do anything to make your, to other than speaking to those officers about the prior searches, did you personally do anything to satisfy yourself that the child wasn't in this 1,400 square foot condo? Or did you just take it as their word?
I trusted the work that that was reported to me by the people that reported it.
So the answer is no.
No.
There was an indicia that information was trustworthy though, right?
Excuse me?
There was indicia that information was trustworthy because at that point there had been Detroit Police, Michigan State Police, and FBI involved, right?
And the defendants.
What do you mean, and the defendants? And their input.
They had also told us and me that they had searched the home as well.
Okay. And you also knew that Detroit Police, State Police, and FBI searched the home.
I don't believe the FBI had searched it yet.
Well, on the 19th we just went over the evidence recovery team doing the trace evidence search, right?
Your Honor,
I'm talking about when you became the OIC the evening of the 19th.
objection. I think we're still in the same line of questioning at this point, and it's just been asked and answered repeatedly.
This is the last question on this, Your Honor.
Every time
I just
there's
want to
a
answer.
question, you say it's the last
I know,
question.
but-
I counted 5 last questions. We're going in circles. Ask the question, and then this should be your last question.
Okay. You didn't just believe them to believe them. You had good reason to believe them that he wasn't in the home, right?
I didn't just believe them, but I believed them?
No.
Is that what you're saying?
You had good reason to believe that he was not in the home based on everything that had taken place and what you were told.
I was working on the information I was given.
Is that a yes?
Your Honor, he's asking
yeah.
questions.
Answer the
Yeah.
question. That was your final question.
All right. Yep.
I don't want to follow. I'm just kidding.
Mr. Haddad, are you finished?
No. Just give
Well,
me
you
2
said
minutes.
that was your last question.
No. I have just 1 more minute, please.
1 more minute.
Yep. There was a media spokesperson in this case, right? Detroit Police media spokesperson.
Objection. How is any of that relevant?
I'm about to get
How
to
is
it.
relevant?
I just
Tell me how it's relevant.
I just want to know, as the OIC, did he report to that spokesperson so that when the police department made official statements to the public that are relevant, I'm not going to get into them, did it come from him? Did he give the Detroit Police media
Every
spokesperson the
element of
information
two counts
as the
that
OIC?
this goes to. There are 2 counts. Torture, child abuse.
Well,
Which one?
it goes to one of our rebuttal witnesses, Your Honor, as with the media spokesperson.
Counsel, it's not relevant. Your objection is sustained.
Okay.
Your next question. If there is a next question.
Isn't it true that One of the reasons as the OIC you wanted charges to be authorized on this case was because the FBI stuck Detroit and Wayne County with over $400,000 bill of restitution in this case for their health.
Your Honor, I would object. That's highly argumentative,
It's-
improper, and irrelevant.
It goes to impeachment and motivation.
Sustain.
No.
Your next question.
No more questions, Your Honor.
Thank you. Redirect?
That was a
Thank
record.
you, Your Honor. I'll attempt to be very, very brief.
Yes.
In your experience, do people sometimes, as an investigator with Detroit Police Department, do people sometimes change their stories?
Objection, that's pure speculation, Your Honor, as to what people
Are
sometimes
you
do.
on your feet?
Yeah, I'm trying to get up, those bad knees, I have to rock to get up.
I understand. What's your objection?
It's speculation. It's just something, his belief is irrelevant and pure speculation.
I'm not asking about his belief. I'm asking in his experience, do people sometimes change their stories? He can testify
How's it
whether
relevant?
Hold on.
he can testify to whether or not he has personally.
And he can.
Yeah.
Just tell me whether or not people change their story.
Yes.
Thank you. Your next question.
And do you consider that when you do your overall investigation?
Objection.
What's the relevance?
Overruled. Answer the question. Do you consider it?
Yes.
Thank you. Next question.
Now, I think on cross you were asked whether or not there were on the previous day there were timestamps on the video, the surveillance video you viewed from the Nicolette place,
Correct.
and you responded that you needed to refresh your recollection.
Yes.
Since that time, have you done that? Have you refreshed your recollection?
I have viewed the surveillance footage.
Okay, and were there timestamps on the surveillance footage?
There were.
Nothing further, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. You are excused. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sidebar for the attorney.